Hello and welcome to Dr. Vinay Mohan's classes. So, as we discussed earlier, that we'll be coming up with the recent developments in the news for the benefit of all the candidates preparing for various examinations and those people who are curious to know what's happening around in the world and in India as well. So, we are looking at the concept of vulture conservation in India, which is going on because, as you can see in the backdrop, that news has come up that the vultures population is declining very rapidly in the last 2 to 3 decades, and the government of India has decided to launch the vulture conservation program. As you can see that here, yes, so there is the vulture conservation and reintroduction program which is happening now. As you can see that, so we have the Ministry for Environment, Forest and Climate Change launched a Vulture Action Plan 2020-2025 for the conservation of vultures in India. So what is this story which is revolving around vulture conservation? And World Health Organization also opines that the communicable diseases, the bacterial, the fungal diseases which are spreading now because of the irrational disposal of carcasses of animals is going to be a major reason for communicable diseases affecting human population, and if it is not controlled, this is going to kill millions of humans because of the diseases spreading because of irrational disposal of the bodies or animal carcasses, and in the absence or because of the extinction of vultures, which is happening pretty fast, this communicable diseases would spread much faster. So what is the role of vultures? Please remember, we are looking at the number of vultures declining at a rapid pace, as you can see that here. So for the past, you can see that from 1990 till 2017 there is a great deal of drop in the vulture population across the world, and more so in India. Once were in crores and millions of vultures, now are left only to 600 to 700 vultures across India. So there is 99.9% of the decline in the population of vultures here. So these vultures are, especially the Indian vulture, which is Gyps indicus, so is a carrion bird. So what do you mean by carrion bird here? Carrion bird is like a scavenger bird which usually consumes the carcasses of the animals and prevents the decomposition or degradation or putrefaction of these animal bodies, and thus prevents the contamination of the air, the water, the soil, and eventually the environment, and thus help in the control of the spread of bacteria or fungi. So this is the primary role, and the vulture would act as the top carnivore or apex predator, which in general consumes all other organisms and prevents the decomposition activity in a given environment or ecosystem, and thus controls the spread of the energy or the microorganisms here. So that is how the vultures play a very important role in maintenance of the balance of an ecosystem or environment. So the vulture population is declining at a rapid pace, and because of which the government of India has launched the project Vulture in the year 2006. So why it is so important? Number one, it is to control the spread of decomposing animal carcasses. Number two, to perform the scavenging activity. Number three, and to prevent the spread of the bacterial and fungal diseases in a given region or area. So this is the biodiversity related aspect of it. Then what is the cultural aspect of it? Please remember that we have certain communities in India and across the world which is known as the Parsi community here. So Parsi communities across the world, and more so in India as well, they dispose their body parts of the dead family members or dead members of the Parsi community, and they keep their bodies at the top of Parsi Tower of Silence, which is also known as Dokma, and this practice is called as Dokmanashini. So this practice of disposing the dead without burial or cremation or burning is a cultural belief system of Parsi community across the world, that in Parsi community or Zoroastrianism belief system, the soil, the earth, the water and the fire are considered as pure, and by disposing these bodies of humans would pollute or contaminate these pure elements of the nature. And their belief system preaches them that we are not supposed to pollute those and maintain the serenity or purity of those components of earth, soil, that is soil, the water, and the fire. So hence the last resort through which a human body, even upon death, can help is by feeding certain carrion animals like wild dogs or birds like vultures, which can feed on the bodies. So that is why Parsi community members construct this tower of silence or dokma across the world we have, and in Persia also, that is Iran also we have, and then in India also, around the western part of India also we have this Parsi tower of silence. And increasingly, because the vulture population is declining and the Parsis are forced to find alternative methods of disposing the bodies of their dead members, so usually they would resort to electric crematorium, or some of the kind of traditional community members of Parsis, they would still practice such practice of keeping the bodies on dokmas. So declining or extinction of vultures is largely attributed to the use of veterinary administration of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like diclofenac. As we can see them here, that there are a host of drugs, please understand this, there are a host of drugs which would do this, as you can see that here. So it is present across the news here, as you can observe this. A host of drugs are, you can see them here, that the drugs like diclofenac, ketoprofen, and aceclofenac are the major factors which in general are causing the death of vultures on large scale. Please observe this. You can see the drugs here. Yes. So ban the use of ketoprofen, aceclofenac, and diclofenac drugs, which are used for veterinary purposes, especially for cattle, and it is anti-inflammatory analgesic drug, and these are supposed to be very toxic to the gastrointestinal tract and the vital organs of vultures, and because of which there is a death of vultures on large scale. These are used on cattle, and such cattle carcasses are consumed by these vultures as part of the scavenging process, and as a result, these toxic non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are the reason for the death and extinction of 99.9% of the vultures in India. So this is the first and major reason. And what is the biological phenomenon through which these toxic drugs to vultures are spreading? And the phenomenon is called as biomagnification. Please observe that in biomagnification, across trophic levels, across various types of living organisms based on eating and being eaten, when cattle are injected with these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug like ketoprofen or aceclofenac or diclofenac, their concentration increases in the bodies of vultures because vultures consume more number of cattle carcasses, and as a result, the total concentration of these drugs would increase in vultures, and they would become toxic to vultures, ultimately killing the vultures altogether. And in India, currently we have 99.9% extinction rate of vultures, which is the fastest concern with any bird in the world. And now the government of India is taking certain measures, as you can see them here, that it is also because of the climate change. It is also because of habitat loss. That is, vultures can thrive in certain kind of regions where there are mountains or semi-arid plains with water facility available, or on savannas. Savannas are nothing but the tropical grasslands. These are the favorable habitats for the growth and development of vultures. Now, because of industrialization, urbanization, deforestation, and decline in the surface water bodies, so there is overall habitat destruction coupled with climate change, and also irrational, irregular, and over administration of veterinary diclofenac, aceclofenac, and ketoprofen. So these kind of drugs are the reason for the rapid extinction or decline in the population of vultures, affecting not only the ecological balance but also the belief systems of certain religious communities like Parsis across the world, and more so in India. So the government of India has taken up this seriously and has banned the diclofenac for veterinary usage in the year 2006 itself. And then what is a safe, vulture safe alternative to the cattle in the form of anti-inflammatory drugs here? So meloxicam would be a vulture safe alternative for veterinary administration of these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs to cattle, which is vulture safe, which doesn't biomagnify and doesn't cause the toxic impacts or the death of vultures altogether. So this is a brief story about why vultures are important for a given region or ecosystem or environment, what is happening to them, and what is the position or stance of government of India concerned with this. And in the recent news, we can see that the Telangana Bejor Adilabad district, the Bejor region has seen 26 plus vultures being conserved here, and because of this, Dr. Vibhu has received the Prani Mitra Award in the recent past year. So for the efforts of conservation of vultures across the country, and more so in the central and southern parts of India. So this is a brief news item about the vultures, their importance, their cultural significance, and why government of India is planning to conserve vultures on a larger scale. So if you want to support our channel, please like, share and subscribe to our channel, and keep supporting us so that we can bring many useful and value addition components for your understanding purposes. Thanks for your time and patience. We'll see you again with another issue which is useful to you. Thank you.